Future Bulldogs, welcome to the Hill. My name is Carla Miller and I am the Director of Residential Life and Housing. I would like to have a conversation with you about how housing works and what you can expect when you move in, when you live on campus, and when you check out. And this video is really about just making you aware of what it's going to be like to live in housing. And you have to know that housing has its own set of guidelines, it has its own set of rules, and so that's what we're going to go over today. It has nothing to do with the registration process and who am I rooming with and why do I have to room with them, what do I need to bring. This presentation is not about that. And so hopefully I can go through it pretty quickly and it won't take too much of your time, but I think the information that I have to share is useful. Okay? So, residential life is comprised of certain staff members and certain staff, and we have our front office staff, and the front office staff is what we call I'm in that office, my associate director is in that office, housing coordinator is in that office, the secretary is in that office, and then also our Normal Hills apartment manager is in this office or in that office. And so what we do is we just kind of manage the day-to-day activities of housing, business, just mainly business related things. If you have a question about your meal plan, and your meal plan will be added, that'll be added right before you guys move in. So right now you don't see it, and we just don't make it available for students to add their own meal plan. It's only one. It's the ultimate meal plan, and it's mandatory. You can write me all kind of emails about the meal plan, but it is mandatory and it cannot be removed. So that's what we handle. We handle adding the meal plan to an account, or we oversee personnel in that office. We oversee unresolved maintenance issues, and my associate director really mainly handles those. If a fine is imposed, we add it to the student's account. We just handle the day-to-day operations of housing altogether. Now, when it comes to someone managing the residence hall, the person that you should call should be your student's hall director, or your student should go down to the front office. They're right down there in the front office, and talk to the hall director should they have any issues in the residence hall. The hall director is responsible for. If it's a roommate conflict, it is the hall director that handles that. I don't handle roommate conflicts. If I have to handle a roommate conflict, nobody's going to like the outcome. So, the hall director is there in the building. I'm not there. And I say this because I always get, when people call housing, they want to speak to me. I want to speak to the housing director. I want to speak to the housing director. But what you have to understand is I have an office full of people. Probably not enough people, because we receive hundreds and hundreds of calls in the week. And we have to try to answer them all. But I can't talk to everybody. And so I have a staff here that works with me. They work with me. We work together. We are a team. And my message is their message. Whatever message they're giving you, I've given it to them. Right? Sometimes we make a mistake and say some things that may be inaccurate information, because sometimes you have new people in the office. And so that's gonna happen. But for the most part, my staff is here to assist me, because I can't take all the calls. I wish I could, but I can't. And so when it comes to roommate conflicts, maintenance concerns, cleaning of the common areas, that is the hall director's responsibility. The hall director also imposes fines on students' accounts. So if someone receives a fine, and I'll talk about that later, you should contact the hall director. All we do in the front office is put those fines on an account. Fines are not appealed because most of the time they're justified. There's sometimes it may be a mistake. You know, there are always mistakes that are made. But the hall director is your go-to person. Anything that's going on in your building, call the hall director. If your student doesn't know where their class is, or if your student doesn't know where the cafeteria is, or if your student doesn't know where the library is, go to the front desk. Those individuals are there to help your student navigate this campus. And then, of course, you can always call the front office if you have questions. Absolutely. But the hall director is really the person that should be your go-to person, because they're right there in the residence hall with your student. If you call the hall director, sometimes other people are going to answer the phone. We have support staff that work around the clock. Some are full-time, some are part-time. And so they're there to assist the hall director. You also have residential assistants. Those are the student RAs. Those are our student workers. And they're there, they live in the building with your student, and they live on the floor with your student. And if your student has issues, they should go to the RA. But if for some reason your student doesn't feel comfortable going to the RA, the hall director is the next person that you should go to. They should go to. And understand this. When your student is living on campus, they have firsthand knowledge of what's going on with them personally. They're going to call you and they're going to tell you everything. And a lot of times they won't even tell the hall director or the RA if they have a maintenance issue. But you as a parent should encourage them to walk down to the front desk and talk to people about what's going on with them, because they have firsthand knowledge. It's hard to really talk to a person they have third-hand knowledge. But the person who has first-hand knowledge of the issues that's going on with them, they should feel comfortable enough to go down to the front. And if they don't feel comfortable, coach them. That's what that's what I need you to do. I need you to start being coaches. Because you can't be here to help them with everything, but you can coach them through this process. Okay? And so also we have graduate assistants, our desk assistants, that also work in the residence hall. So, for instance, if you were to call and you want to speak to the hall director, a student may answer the phone. Oftentimes, the hall director may be walking the halls and checking rooms and making sure maintenance issues have been resolved and making sure their building is clean. So they if you contact them, they may not be in their office, so someone else may answer the phone. So just so you are aware of how, what it means to manage a building. It means that person needs to be out and about and find out what's going on in their building. And some buildings are very large and some buildings are not as large as others. Living on campus. Living on campus is the main topic that I would like to talk about. And what you have to realize is when you live on campus, you now are no longer in this little box that you're used to. Your student is coming to Huntsville, Alabama, and they have chosen to matriculate at Alabama A&M University. And they are going to be living on campus with people that are so different than they are. And everybody has to have this idea or this notion or this concept of being open to getting to know people that are not like them. Living with people that are not like them. and being sympathetic and empathetic to others. That's what you're going to learn on this campus. And so I encourage you as parents to encourage your student to be open-minded. Everything that happens in your home, guess what? Happens on campus times 100. Everything that happens in your home also happens on campus. I want you to start thinking about that, because sometimes people bring their kids to campus and they have this unrealistic idea of what it's going to be like. And housing is going to make sure your student learns some things. They're going to learn how to be independent. They're going to learn how to communicate. They're going to learn how to realize that you're no longer in a room by yourself. And you are going to have to be respectful of your roommate. Those are just a few things that a student is going to learn. I lived on campus. I learned a lot about myself when I lived on campus. And so this is a time, parents, for you to coach your student, to encourage your student to figure themselves out, because they're going to be going through this process, but they need you to coach them from home and to encourage them, not to give them negative information, encourage them with positive information that they can push through, because it's hard to transition from home and come into campus. That's a transition. It was a transition for me. And I almost left school in the middle of the semester because I just did not like it. But my mother said to me, if you don't like it by the end of the semester, meaning you're going to finish the semester out, if you don't like it at the end of the semester, then you can come back home. And I went away to school. And I'm so thankful my mother did not let me come home in the middle of the semester, because by the time October came, I was fine. So encourage your students to, when they start something, finish it. Even if they don't like it, at least tell them to finish the semester out. And then if they don't really don't like it, then they can transfer to another school or go back home. But let me tell you this, nobody can transfer in the middle of the semester. It is not possible. I get that all the time. We just gonna transfer. Okay, all right. Nobody can transfer in the middle of the semester. Okay? Encourage your students to push through whatever it is they're going through, because I guarantee you, unless it's just some extenuating circumstances, they're going to push through. And encourage them to do great while they're here, because that's why they're here. So all of this goes with living on campus. You want to say, well, lady, why are you talking about this? Because y'all, you're going to find out that everything that I'm saying, it matters. I've been doing this long enough to I'm telling you what really matters about living on campus. Now, we have resident services on campus. And what I mean by that is this. I'm getting ready to go down this list. I'm going down this list quick because I don't want to make this presentation too long. But we have resident services. We have break periods. This is what you need to know, parents. We have a winter break. That means your students go home. Have a break. Merry Christmas. Regroup. Recoup. So you come back for the spring semester and do great, right? And then also we have a spring break. I get a lot of pushback on spring break, but we have spring break. And these are the two times that your student must check out. We have cable television. It's not cable. It's like Xfinity now. You're streaming. So there's information on the housing website under prospective students where you can go and click on and add this feature. But you're not going to be able to access until your student is here on campus. Okay, it's just for students that are on campus. Custodians, they clean up every day. They can't keep up with the students sometimes. But they clean up the bathrooms in the traditional residence halls. They clean up the bathrooms every day, early in the morning, and then they try to let students get up, get ready, and then they come back. And they make sure, and they're supposed to make sure the hallways are clean, the public areas, the laundry area, the vending area. They are there to clean up all the common areas and the traditional bathrooms. That's what your hall director is supposed to be walking around, making sure that's done. In the suite style residence hall, they clean up all the common areas. But remember this, your student is responsible for cleaning up their bathroom. And I have some stories about the bathrooms, but I don't have time to talk about them now. But it's your student's responsibility in a suite style residence hall to clean up after themselves. We have free laundry. Parents, please teach your students how to wash their laundry. The students pack all their clothes in there. Their clothes are not getting clean. They do not have to pack them in. It is free. Internet access, free. We provide that. It may never be like it is at the house, but we do provide internet. We do. And, there's going to be information. If the student is having an issue, then, the company will come out and they will make sure that it's working properly for that student. So there's a 1-800 number that we will give your student once they arrive if they ever have any issues with their internet or expecting. Resident services continued. Maintenance issues. Anytime a student has a maintenance issue, such as my air is not working, my toilet is running over, the shower is leaking, any maintenance related issue, please report it to the hall director. You gotta communicate that information. And the same thing that happens in your home is the same way, technicians respond and take care of issues in your student's room. Now, we don't want certain things to take 24 hours, right? We know we want things to happen as quickly as they can. But sometimes if it's a part that's needs to be replaced, you have to understand that it may take some time for that part to come in and for whatever it is that may need to be maintenance or repaired. Just give it time to come in. Now, if it's going to take too much time, then we're going to recommend that your student moves. It is what it is. And we've been doing this long enough to know what constitutes a move. Sometimes equipment may say, well, it's just going to take one day, and then it ends up taking 2 weeks, and then your student is uncomfortable. We don't want that to happen. So there are going to be some times that we're going to suggest that your student move for their comfort level. And a lot of times students don't want to move. So I don't want to move because I got a lot of stuff. But it's in their best interest to do that, especially depending upon the issue. So we can't read your mind. We need you to communicate, students. You can tell your parents, but you really need to tell the hall director. If you tell your RA, you need to follow up and tell your hall director as well if you're having an issue in your room. If you have an issue with pest control, remember you can't keep your door wide open. You can't keep your room nasty and don't think little critters want to come in and visit and eat your food. So you have to keep your area clean. We do have pests. Everybody has pests. But we do have pest control, and if for some reason there's some extra something going on, let your hall director know. They will call out pest control. Vending machines, they're in the lobbies. Meal plan requirement, again, everyone has to have a meal plan on campus. The living on campus is not going to be like at home. You're not going to be able to come and buy a bunch of groceries and cook. It is not meant, the residence halls are not equipped for that. So you can do some things, but you cooking a whole meal. No, that's what your meal plan is for. And so the meal plan is mandatory. It cannot be removed. No matter how many times you ask, it cannot be removed. It's mandatory because it is there to make sure and ensure that your student eats. That's what it's for. Checking in will be pretty simple. It's really about, you check in, you get your key, you go to your room, you look it over, you make sure, you come back, you looking at the room and you're making sure it's clean. Now, parents are going to clean it again anyway, because that's just what we do, right? But the room should be clean. There should be, all the furniture should be there, but if for some reason something is missing, speak with the RA or the hall director about the room, and they will do their best to take care of it as quickly as they can. Move-in day dates are posted on the academic calendar. The website is not updated yet. It will be updated later. I'll make sure that it's updated in a timely manner. There are so many things that are going on this campus, and I want to make sure that once I post that information, we don't have to change it. Checking out of your room. Make sure when you check out that you clean it up. And we always remind students of what they need to do to clean up their room. But if they don't clean it up, or if they don't do what they're supposed to do, fines are imposed. And so we want to make sure students check out properly. If you, for any reason, decide to withdraw from the university, first of all, you need to let somebody know. Don't just leave and don't say anything. Many students have bills and they just left. They didn't say anything to anybody. So what we want to do is make sure we remove unnecessary charges to your student's account. If you have a balance, you leave, you can't transfer, can't get a transcript because you have a balance. So just as you had classes, registered for classes, and just as you registered for housing, there's something you need to do when you get ready to leave. That means you need to cancel your classes and you need to cancel your housing, right? I want you to remember that. Once you did something to get here, you need to do something to leave, right? And so in the event that you need to leave and go to another school, for God forbid you got to go to another school, but if you go to another school, you want to make sure you can transfer without having to pay a bill, because you're not going to be able to transfer. You're not going to be able to get your transcript if you have a bill. Okay, so just let people know what's going on. And if you don't know what to do, email housing and we'll tell you what to do. housing@aamu.edu. Types of fines. These are the types of fines a student can receive living in housing. And look, we see these fines all the time. And what I want you to do is, as parents and students, I want you to review the guide to living on campus, because it's going to go into more detail. You really need to read that guide. You really need to read it, because everything that we do, any fines that we imposed, are listed in that guide. For example, unauthorized animals. We're having more of an issue with unauthorized animals on campus. We have emotional support animals on campus, but those animals have to be approved before bringing the animal to campus from disability services if you need an emotional support animal. But if you just won't bring your animal with you, no, you're going to lose your housing. Because I'm just like, bam, you have to understand, having an unauthorized pet, your pet could bite somebody. The roommate could be allergic to the pet. That's why roommates, you need to say something. If something's going on in your room and you don't like it and it's affecting you, you should say something to your hall director or your RA. But, an unauthorized animal is a liability. And if we are not aware of it, it becomes a liability. So it's a really serious matter, okay? Excessive trash. I left off the word trash. Excessive trash. Just trash in general. Sometimes people say, well, it was just a bag. It wasn't excessive. Well, that's excessive to us. Because when you look at our campus, we have a beautiful campus. And we do not want a bunch of trash around. And so we take trash, unnecessary trash, seriously. If you lose your key to your room, we have to charge you. You have to change the locks, the cords. Everybody got to get a new key. Improper checkout. If you don't clean up your room when you leave and you don't do it the way you're supposed to do it after we've instructed you to do so, it's a fine. Smoking. This is a smoke-free campus. That means Black and Miles, cigarettes, cigars, weed, all that. Fine. Yes. We have all of that on our campus. It is a smoke-free campus. And when people smoke in the room, they start doing other things. Covering up the smoke detector. That's $250. Maybe more now. You know, we have repeat offenders, and we're not going to tolerate repeat offenders this year. We just not going to do it. You know, you just take, sometimes our students will push the limits. And when we say do not smoke in the room, that's what we mean. Because you can set off an alarm and then the fire department comes out. All this stuff happens. It's a chain reaction. And so we have to be, we take it seriously. Squatting, that means that you're allowing someone to live in your room that's not a student. They could be a student or not a student. And they're not authorized to be on campus squatting. You lose your housing over that. Or you can get fined, right? Unauthorized businesses. I understand that students come to the university and they're entrepreneurs. But the 101, business 101 is to read your contract. And the contract that you sign, your housing agreement, states that you will use that room to what? Live in. Live, study in, sleep in, room with someone else. It has no clearance in there for you to own a business. And so you will receive a fine for that. And it's a hefty fine. I'm going to get my booth rent. Yeah. Unauthorized businesses. It is a liability to the university. And it can be to you too. So understand that. I wanted to mention that because oftentimes students come here with businesses already. Guide to living on campus. Again, please make sure you guys sit down and read over that so you are aware of the types of fines your student can receive. Student conduct violations. These are violations that a student can receive on campus. We are our own little city. And there are things that happen in our own little city, our own little town. Drugs and paraphernalia, that is a student conduct. That means that DPS, the Department of Public Safety, is now involved in an issue beyond what housing may impose a fine on. And so if DPS is involved, they are going to write up a student conduct. And then that student conduct goes to the Office of Judicial Affairs. Some of these can cause you to lose your housing immediately. Drugs and paraphernalia. Some students have enough drugs on them, weed usually, to just smoke it. But weed is not illegal in Alabama. It may be legal where you're coming from, but it is not legal here. Some students choose to sell it. I don't tolerate it. Once I find out, it's a wrap. See you later. Alcohol. You guys are not old enough to drink. I don't even know why we deal with this every year, but we do. Because people want to party, want to come to school, want to do all this kind of stuff. But alcohol is not tolerated either. You're not even old enough. And even if you are old enough, you can't drink on campus. It's just not, you just don't do it. Babysitting. Nope. Absolutely not. This is not what you're here to do. Is babysit. No ma'am, no sir, no babysitting. Sexual assault. God forbid there's sexual assault. Hazing. Visitation violation. Domestic violence. Fire, assault, theft, weapons, criminal mischief. Damaging somebody's property. These are things that you can get a student conduct for. In addition to receiving a student conduct, these are the bulleted items that you will lose your housing. And I do not take sending a loss of housing letter lightly. I know what I'm doing. I don't take it lightly. Depending upon the amount of drugs, loss of housing. Weapons, absolutely loss of housing. Fighting, gang type fights, yeah, you're going to lose your housing. Now, every now and then, somebody might have a scuffle in the room. Dispute. But it's still going to be a student conduct, because most likely DPS is probably called. Sexual assault. Bye-bye, see you later. Unauthorized animals. Bye-bye, see you later. So make sure if you require ESA, take care of your business first, so that your animal is approved and we are aware of your animal and type of animal that you have. So when I see you and I see you with your animal, I'm not going to say, hello, what's up? I know. I can count the animals on my hand. I can count the animals that we have on this campus that are approved. I know who they are, and I know who the students are. Okay? Also, these are the types of holes that can affect your housing. And this is not going to make any sense to you right now, but this is going to make plenty of sense when it comes time to register for the new year. So when I say register, meaning register for housing for the new year. You cannot register for housing if you have any hold on your account. Because that means if you have a hold on your account, that means you can't register for classes. And that's one of the criteria for registering for housing for the new academic year, is that you have classes, that you've registered for classes. So if you have a student, any type of student hold, admissions, judicial affairs, academic advising is going to put a hold on all freshman accounts, because they want to remind you that you need to be advised and to register. Or a medical hold. Or a balance. I said student accounts, meaning a balance, if you have a balance of any kind. Most people say or think that housing put holds on students' accounts. We don't put a hold on your account. You might have a fine and you have a balance, but we don't put holds on students' accounts. There's enough holes out there. We don't need to add to it. So again, this is not going to really make sense right now, but later on it will make sense to you. It will make sense, because it will keep you from moving forward, adding classes. It won't keep you from being advised, but it will keep you from adding those classes yourself or registering for those classes. Vacating university housing. Just remember, if you for any reason have to vacate housing because you lost your housing or something, you got 24 to 48 hours to vacate. If after you've appealed your vacate, your loss of housing, you'll automatically get additional time. But understand, if it's a serious enough case, you're going to have to leave. And if you live very far away, then talk to a hall director. We will give you the additional time that you need. But understand that if you've received a loss of housing, it's a serious matter. It's serious. Definitely serious to me. It's a serious matter. If you just choose to cancel your housing, you need to vacate, because you have to understand this. Housing on campus is for students. And what makes you a student? Well, what makes you a student is that you register for classes. If you don't have classes, you're not you may have been admitted, but that doesn't make you a student at Alabama A&M, or a current student at Alabama A&M University. So that's what makes you a student. And so if you don't have classes, then you can't stay in student housing. All right. And so we will find out at some point if everybody has classes in housing. And if you can't get registered, and it's always good to register early. This late registration doesn't do anybody any good. Registering early, it helps everyone. If for some reason you don't have classes and you can't get classes, then you're going to have to vacate housing. Some students are suspended, and so that would you're going to automatically lose your housing if you get suspended. That's automatic. I don't have to be involved. It's automatic. Non-payment of registration fees, housing fees, like if that means if you have a bill and you can't get classes, and that usually will apply for the spring semester if you still have a bill. And it's a good idea to, if you have a bill by September, and if all your scholarships have been applied and any funding that you can receive, if it's all been applied by September, it's a good time to make a payment plan. Because when you make your payment plan in September, that means you got September, October, November, December to pay that bill. But if you wait to December to pay your bill, you got December to, if you say, hey, I'm going to make a payment plan in December, that's going to be one big payment. And most people don't have that kind of money. So parents, listen to me now, because I know enough to help y'all. Make your payment plan as early as possible so your payments are not as high. Okay? That's what's going to help you out if you have to make a payment plan. Withdraw from the university. So if you decide to withdraw from your classes, you need to vacate housing. Okay? Personal insurance. All of you should have experienced that by now. We have now added that little piece with Grad Guard, a part of the application process. And many of you may have declined the renter's insurance, or you may have gone ahead and paid for the renter's insurance. Or you may have said, hey, remind me later about the renter's insurance. But let me tell you this, the university is not liable for any of your personal items. It doesn't matter if they're lost, they're stolen, or they're damaged by water or fire. It is your responsibility to have renter's insurance. It's just like living in the city. You can be in an apartment complex or in your house. Well, I'm going to say apartment complex. The apartment has insurance on their building and their dwelling. So they're going to make sure that everything is restored back to where it was. But when it comes to your personal items, you are responsible. You're responsible. And so anything could happen to your personal items. And guess what? When you purchase this insurance, your student is covered no matter where they are. Even if something were to happen and they were at home or on a break, their items are still covered. Okay? So it's really important that you obtain renter's insurance. I cannot stress this enough. Remember, we are not liable. And every year somebody called me, and I have sent out several emails about this, and I understand the students they don't really understand this piece. And so what I'll do is I will make sure I send this information out to the parents as well via the parent portal. And parents, if you have not registered for the parent portal, you should. You should register for the parent portal. And that's found on our website, aamu.edu. Scroll down and look for parent portal and sign up for the parent portal. I really try to keep our parents in the loop when there's really important information they need to know about housing and any other department. I kind of manage that information that's being disseminated, and any questions that come through the parent portal, I will answer them. And if I can't answer them personally, then I will contact the directors of those departments and get the answers for you. All right, so that's a little bit about the personal insurance and our contact information. Wow, I did this presentation in about 38 minutes, and that's a record time. So I cut it down as much as I could. But just know that you can contact us at any time. The housing office is located in Normal Hills off of Chase Road. We're in Suite 1110, and we're here. We're here for your student. A lot of times people don't like my answers. They don't like what we have to say about an issue, but you have to know that we have to manage the student body that we have that's living on campus. And there are certain ways that we manage everyone. We try to anyway. You can only manage people so much. They're not in prison. But we have to manage our student body. And so there are certain guidelines and rules that, some people just don't like. But, hey. But anyway, call us And if you really want to get in touch with us pretty quickly, is email us at housing@aamu.edu. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We really post more on Twitter than anything, but we're at those two social. We have accounts with those social media outlets. I hope this information was informative. I really wish I could, have an opportunity to talk to everybody, but I can't. But as I mentioned, I hope the information provided is helpful, and I look forward to seeing you guys at SOAR. I really do. All right. I hope you guys have a great day.